So you've got your brand new VTuber, but now what do? How do you set it up? How do you get all the things linked together like your iPhone and Vbridger and Perfect Sync? Well, stick around because I'm Bitsy the Alien, and together we're gonna set up your very first VTuber. So here I have the folder for Atama-chan, which is an asset that I built to showcase what Vbridger Perfect Sync looks like and how to build that. If you're interested in getting this file, the link is below. But if you have your own file, you're gonna need to unzip it. If you don't know how to do that, go ahead and click on the folder you need to unzip, then right click, and it will say extract all, at least it does for PC. Then it'll give you a pop-up box and just hit extract. Once you have everything out, you're going to want to take the file that says Vtuber or VST or whatever the folder is that has the .json files. So this file here has our MOC3 file and our JSON files, all these JSON files. And it has a folder. What's this folder? This is your texture map. Very important. So go all the way out, take this entire folder and copy it. Not the name. Careful. Copy the entire folder. Next, we're going to need to navigate to the Vtube Studio folder, which is inside Steam, Steam Apps, Common, Vtube Studio, Vtube Studio Data, Streaming Assets, Live 2D Models. If you have a pet, you put it into the Items folder, but we are putting a model into the Model folder. Then just Control V to paste, or you can come up here and use this. Now, once that's done, we need to open up Live 2D. So the first thing you'll need to do is click on this Change VTS model and navigate to your VTuber. If your VTuber was made properly by an experienced rigger, it should have an image and already be set up. But if not, it might just have this no icon with the name underneath. Thankfully, Atama-chan is ready to go. Sometimes you might see these errors. Now, don't be scared. Like I said, if it's already been set up correctly, then these errors are probably superfluous. Like for Atama-chan here, she doesn't have a breath parameter or a body parameter or any of those because she does not have a body. She's just a head. So don't get scared. If it's moving and grooving, once you've opened it up, then everything's ready to go. If it's not moving very well, well, we're gonna need to get into that. So what you'll need to do next is double tap, click, click, anywhere on the open space, and we'll get this handy pop-up menu. Now, go to the gear icon. It disappeared on me. How rude. The gear icon. This is where we'll do all the setting up stuff. So you'll need to make sure that your Vtube Studio plugins are open if you're going to use Vbridger. Make sure to configure the permissions and allow Vbridger. Nice and easy. Now when you go to webcam, you actually don't need this at all if you're using Vbridger. If you're not, you'll need to choose your webcam and set up your tracking. The most important thing on this tab is to make sure your FPS matches the FPS of your video output. I record at 60 frames per second, and Vbridger is also set for 60 frames per second. Next, you want to check your canvas resolution. Make sure that it's the correct size to fill your entire screen, or, like I do, to have just a little bit clipping off so you can easily click out of Vtube Studio, which can easily overtake everything and be hard to minimize. Now the person with the icon, the model settings, this is very important. If you don't have it set up at all, you're gonna need to pay attention. Make sure you toggle this off. You don't want to be floating around all willy-nilly, unless you do. Generally speaking, models work better with it off. Next, I like to add just a slight amount of wind physics, just 0.5, nice and easy. Now, you're going to want to change these base parameters to fit your face, which I have already done for my model. See how my input and output is at 10 instead of the normal 30? Yep. And I've also changed the smoothing to 2. You're going to want to test these settings and see what works best for your face. X is this direction, Y is this direction, Z is this direction. And those 3 directions control your entire VTuber aside from toggles on your keyboard. Then you have the mouth settings, which is pretty straightforward. And if you're using Vbridger, you shouldn't have to mess with these, but you will need to add some of them. For example, you might notice that your mouth is moving very well, but your teeth are just staying right there. Well, that's because you need to add this jaw open parameter. So what you'll do is scroll all the way to the bottom and click add. Let me move right on out of the way for you. Okay, so we want to hit this little plus button to add a new parameter and go ahead and name it jaw or teeth. Input refers to the tracking parameters that are built into Vtube Studio and the ones built into Vbridger once you have everything connected. Specifically, the different setups for Vbridger will be shown depending on what load you have. So at the top of Vbridger you can hit load and it normally has the advanced AR kit or the default. I have my perfect sync already loaded in, and that gives me all the parameters I need to get my perfect sync mouth moving. Now, when it comes to perfect sync, this model I'm using right now is not the best one to look at. This model is very old and not set up well, so when I tried to brute force the perfect sync, it did in fact make my mouth better, but it doesn't quite move like it's supposed to. So just keep that in mind. I need to do a big update. Okay, back to it. So, the inputs. We've got our basic ones, and you'll note here some of them are only for Android and iOS, like tongue out, and cheek puff, and angry face. Now all the way to the bottom. Plugin. This is Vbridger. From here, we can find our jaw open parameter. These input parameters can be linked to more than one item. For example, you can link your eye squint parameter to an eyebrow blend shape that makes your brow look different when squinting, which I don't have on this model. Sorry. Now the output only shows what is rigged for each model. My outputs are all here, and the ones in red are outputs that have already been linked. You can't have an output linked to 2. An input can link to 2, but an output can only be on your parameter list one time in Vtube Studio. Now, we would want to find jaw open, which is right here and is already being used. To quicken things up, you can also filter and type jaw, and what you would do is select that, and it should be set up ready to go. Something you might want to do is change the smoothing. This makes the delay different. So for the body, I like to make the body smooth, so when I turn, it doesn't quite match the head. Just a little bit of lag. I like to also put smoothing on the tongue, so it's not just popping out all the time willy-nilly. But don't go too hard, or else your tongue will take a very long time to get out. Okay, the next thing you'll want to note is the hotkey settings. If your rigger set everything up for you already, then you should have your hotkeys right here. And I personally like to depict what keystrokes make the hotkey happen. As you can see, I've got my clothing settings set to C1, 2, 3, and 4, and my actual expressions set to X. X1. And then click the same thing to undo it. For animations, it's a little different. Usually you have to toggle an idle animation on and then toggle a different animation on, which can be null, so you can turn it off that way via a different keystroke. If you don't have any of these set up already, then you'll need to go to the plus button again. Hopefully, when you open this hotkey action, set an unset expression, go to the expressions, you'll have a list here. But you might not. You might not. And if it's totally blank, you're gonna need to come into the expression editor and make new ones. So, you wanna say create new expression, select, and now, oh dear, we have nothing on because all our expressions have been turned off. We'll need to name this. Mad face. And then you have to go down to each thing that you want to react to your mad face, which can be anything from frowning. You turn it on and then you change. See how that's affecting my face? You change the parameter. And this one as well. Well, am I on the, no, oh, I'm on the wrong one. I'm on the wrong one. Here we go. There we go. Now I'm frowning constantly and you can't change it. But let's keep going. You can also add your eyes. Get that squint. Get that squint. Yeah. And you can add your brows. Oh. The angle should determine how angry it looks. See? See how mad I am? And I like to keep all of my actual expressions all the way at the bottom. So we come down and we'll see that you can turn the tail off, or you can go cross-eyed, or for this specific one, we want an angry face, which I think I have one here somewhere. Ah, yep, set as mad. All the way mad. Grrr. And then as long as we've got a name and we've got at least one thing toggled on, you can hit save. And then you just have to come all the way back down to here, add the expression you just made, mad face, and then you'll need to make the keystrokes. I like to use X, and then you double click, then come down to key 2. You always need at least 2 keys or else it'll be weird. So X, and don't know what else I have set to it. Let's say X5, select, and we'll see that there's an error because I already have X5. Let's add a third key. X5, 1. No, that's gonna be hard. X5, 4. That'll be much easier to click. And then again, you want to name it mad face. And this stuff should automatically save, by the way. Now you can add a gesture or one of these little buttons if you have something like a Stream Deck. And yeah, then you can use it. X54. Mad face. And you can see it also toggled on my star eyes because they're the ones connected to X, one of those. So not the best for this, but you'll get the picture and that's what's important. Ah! Oh dear. Now if things are getting a little messy, there's something we can do about that too. You make another one of these. You go to the hotkey action thing and you say remove all expressions. And now let's set this to X N. Just the N. Just the letter N right there. X in. Ah, nice and clean. Good, good. Now a few other things a beginner should know about Vtube Studio. The background can be changed here, and I really like the festive bubbles and stuff. Pretty cute. But what's more important is the items right there. So any items you've loaded in, as well as items that were pre-built into the system, are all here. This is my lucky dragon. You can get him on Etsy. He's a real good friend. Boop! And now we have our dragon. And you can make, whoop, You can move him around and make him bigger and smaller, and you can even change his draw order if he's in front of you or behind you. All kinds of stuff in the item settings. Oh, that's the scene settings. You can save a scene, so you can always get it back quickly, which is nice. Okay, that's the gist of it. Let's go ahead and look at getting your Vbridger set up and your perfect sync. Back in our Atama-chan file right here, if you've been provided a VTuber with perfect sync, then you probably got it from me because I think there's only one other person that does this, but you will receive this. PerfectSync.Vbridger. Very important. You can't use perfect sync at all without this. You're gonna need to copy that. And then we're gonna go into Steam. And inside the Steam app, we need Steam apps. And next is Common, Vbridger, and then we need to find the saves. And as you can see, there's all these saves, and you just go ahead and paste it right in. Once it's pasted in, you can load it into Vbridger, and everything should be working well. Okay, now I'm going to show you a little screen recording from my iPad to show you how to set up your actual camera, because you can't do any of this without a camera, and you especially can't use Vbridger or Perfect Sync without an iPhone. Specifically, you need an iPhone or an iPad that has a front-facing, true-depth LiDAR camera. Be sure that your model can use the front-facing, true-depth LiDAR camera. It's a mouthful, but it's very important. So, when picking a tracking software, there's quite a handful out there, but I really like Face Motion 3D because it's free. Yes, they do have a paid version, but you don't need it to use Vbridger. The paid version is for live streaming, but if you use Vbridger and stream from your PC, then you're completely circumnavigating their live streaming function anyway. Therefore, you don't need it. And it works pretty dang well. The interface is incredibly simple. You can choose from a scary guy or a scary gal or some other weird looking stuff, or just do, the basic scary gray face, which is my go-to these days. And what you'll need to do is click this settings button here. Under the settings, you'll find your IP address. It's very important that you don't share that, and I'm not going to show you mine either. But take your IP address and copy it exactly into Vbridger. There will be a spot at the bottom. It says IP address. Copy that in, and then hit Connect to iPhone. With any luck, it should just work. That easy. And if you've already connected it to Vtube Studio, then you're golden. If you haven't, make sure to click the Connect to Vtube Studio button. And if that doesn't work, we need to check two things. One, if you go into your actual iPad settings, does your IP address match or is it different? Before you go changing that though, pop back into Vtube Studio and double check that your Vbridger actually connected. Make sure that those two things are talking to each other first. If they are talking and you're still not getting any motion and you've clicked the connect button, then it's probably your IP address, and you should try the other two that are most likely showing in your iPad settings. Because I know I've got like 3 different IP addresses going on sometimes with like using VPNs and whatnot, so I'll definitely double and triple check those. It can be a little annoying, and if you log back in and it's not working again, it's probably because you used a VPN and your IP address changed. So, but that's it. With all this basic information, you should be able to get going. And the only thing stopping you from having epic live streams is knowing how to use OBS, which is a whole nother thing. And I've got a tutorial on that over there, or here, or somewhere. That tutorial is one of my first I've ever made, and so please be kind if I ramble. I'm getting better at YouTube every time I make a new video, but it's hard, guys, it's hard. But enough of that, I'm a beam back up to the mothership, and I hope you climb aboard soon. And until next time, stay strange!